My name is Sarah, and I am 34 years. 2 years ago, my phone started ringing with numbers I hadn't heard from in a decade. My family had found me again. Not because they missed me. Not because they had spent 10 years wondering how I was doing or feeling guilty about the years of silence or genuinely wanting to reconnect with the person I had become. They had found me because I was on a list. Forbes 30 under 30. My name. My photograph. My company, the one I had built from nothing, from a small apartment with a secondhand laptop and a business idea I had been refining in my head for 3 years while working 2 jobs to save the capital to start it. The company that had grown, slowly, and then suddenly the way real things grow, into something that generated revenue and employed people and had just been featured in a magazine that my estranged family apparently read. The first call was from my cousin Jennifer. "Sarah, oh my God, I just saw the article. We are so proud of you." We. As if there had been a we this whole time. As if the decade of silence had been a temporary thing rather than the permanent condition of a family that had decided, when I was 22 and struggling and needed them most, that I was not their problem. I had needed them at 22. Let me tell you what that had looked like. I had grown up in a large family. The kind of family that appears, on the surface, to be the thing everyone wants: loud holidays, multiple generations under one roof during Christmas, the particular chaos of people who have known each other their whole lives and have the shorthand to prove it. Underneath the surface, it was more complicated. My family had a clear hierarchy. Not stated, never stated, because stating it would have required acknowledging it, but visible to anyone paying attention, which I had been from a very young age. Money was the hierarchy. The members of my family who had it were treated with the particular deference of people whose opinion is sought and whose comfort is prioritized. The members who didn't were tolerated, not unkindly, not with cruelty, but with the specific texture of people who are present at the table and not quite at the table simultaneously. My parents had not had money. My father had worked in construction, skilled, reliable, the kind of work that paid adequately and offered nothing beyond adequacy. My mother had worked in a school cafeteria. They had been present at every family gathering, had contributed to every potluck, had shown up for every occasion, and had been treated with the particular warmth reserved for people who are loved and not quite respected. I had grown up watching that. And I had decided, at 14, that I was going to build something different. Not from bitterness, or not only from bitterness. From the genuine ambition of someone who saw clearly how the world worked and decided to work accordingly. I studied. I worked. I got scholarships. I went to university on financial aid and part-time jobs and the specific exhausting determination of someone who understands that nobody is coming to make things easier. At 22, my startup idea was forming. I needed $50,000 to start it properly. I went to my family. Not my parents, they didn't have it. But my Uncle Richard, who had built a successful construction company and lived in a house with a pool. My Aunt Patricia, who had married well and had resources she didn't need. My cousin Thomas, who had inherited from his grandmother and had more than he knew what to do with. I presented my business plan. I was 22. The plan was good. I know that now with the confidence of someone who built what the plan described. It was genuinely good. They said no. Not unkindly. Not with cruelty. With the specific warmth of people who thought I was sweet and didn't take me seriously. Uncle Richard said, "It's a big risk, sweetheart. Maybe get some more experience first." Aunt Patricia said, "I think it's wonderful that you're so ambitious. Just be realistic, okay?" Cousin Thomas didn't return my calls. I went back to my 2 jobs. I saved for 3 more years. I built it myself. And I did not call my family for a decade. Jennifer's call was followed by Thomas. Then Patricia. Then Richard. Then a cascade of aunts and cousins and family members I had not spoken to in 10 years, all of them warm, all of them proud. all of them acting as if the decade of silence had been a mutual choice rather than the natural result of a family that had decided I wasn't worth investing in. I let the calls go to voicemail. All of them. I sat in my office, the actual office, the one with the view and the team outside the glass walls and the company I had built from a secondhand laptop. And I listened to the voicemails and felt something I needed to identify precisely before I decided what to do with it. Not anger. Something colder and more useful than anger. Clarity. The specific clarity of someone who has been shown, twice now, exactly what they were worth to the people who were supposed to value them unconditionally. At 22, not worth $50,000. At 34, worth a phone call once the magazine confirmed it. I called my best friend Diane. They're calling, I said. All of them, she said. All of them, I said. What are you going to do? I looked out my office window at the city below. I don't know yet, I said. But I know what I'm not going to do. What's that? Pretend, I said. I'm not going to pretend the decade didn't happen. My mother called in October. Not my mother specifically. My mother called regularly, had always called regularly. She was not part of the silence. She and my father had been the ones I called when things were hard, the ones who had come to my apartment with food when I was working 18-hour days, the ones who had been present for every difficult step even when they couldn't provide resources. She called in October to tell me the family wanted to have a dinner. A celebration, she said. For my success. Mom, I said carefully. The family that didn't return my calls when I needed them 10 years ago? A pause. Sarah. I'm not saying that to be difficult, I said. I'm saying it because I need to understand what this dinner is. Is it a celebration? Or is it an attempt to reestablish a connection that was severed by their choice, not mine? My mother was quiet for a moment. Both, probably, she said honestly. I appreciated the honesty. What do you think I should do? I said. I think, she said carefully, that you should do whatever feels right to you. Not what's expected. Not what's polite. What feels right. What if what feels right is not going? I said. Then that's what you should do, she said. I thought about it for a week. Dr. Michelle, my therapist, whom I had been seeing for 2 years, helped me think through it. What do you want from a relationship with your extended family? She said. Nothing, I said. That's the honest answer. I don't want anything from them. Then why are you considering going? She said. Because not going feels like it gives them power, I said. Like I'm hiding. Are you hiding? She said. I thought about it. No, I said. I'm not hiding. I'm just done. Done is different from hiding, she said. Done is a conclusion. Hiding is a fear. Yes, I said. Done. Then act accordingly, she said. I called Uncle Richard. Not to attend the dinner. To have a specific conversation I had been composing in my head for 10 years and had decided, finally, to actually have. He answered warmly. Sarah, I've been hoping you'd call back. I know, I said. I want to talk to you about something. Of course, of course. The dinner. Not about the dinner, I said. About 12 years ago. When I came to you with my business plan. A pause. Sarah, that was a long time ago. I know, I said. I want to talk about it anyway. He was quiet. Okay, he said. I had a good plan, I said. I think you knew that. I think when you said to get more experience, you knew the plan was good. But I was 22 and the daughter of your brother who worked in construction, and you didn't take me seriously. Sarah, I'm not asking for an apology, I said. I'm asking you to acknowledge it. That's all. Just acknowledge that you saw a young woman from the less successful branch of the family, and you didn't take her seriously. A long silence. Yes, he said finally. Quietly. That's yes. That's true. Thank you, I said. Are you coming to dinner? He said. No, I said. But I appreciate the call. I hung up and felt something subtle. The dinner happened without me. My parents went, they were part of the family, had their own relationships with the people there, and their attendance was not mine to dictate. My mother texted me once during the evening, "Thinking of you. Love you." I texted back, "Love you too." My cousin Jennifer called the next morning. "We missed you," she said. "I know," I said. "Sarah, I want to understand," she said. Why won't you let us back in?" I thought about how to answer that. "Jennifer," I said, "do you remember when I was 22? "Of course," she said. "Do you remember calling me then?" I said. Silence. "We were all busy." "I needed help," I said. Asterisk, I had a good idea and I needed support, not even financial support, just someone to believe in me. And the family wasn't there. I paused. "Not because you were busy. Because I wasn't successful yet. Because I was the daughter of the brother who worked in construction, and that meant something about my worth in this family." "That's not fair." "It's accurate," I said. "I'm not saying it to hurt you. I'm saying it because it's true, and I think you know it's true." She was quiet for a moment. "What would it take?" she said. "For you too, what would it take?" "Honesty," I said. "Not the dinner. Not the celebration of the success. Acknowledgement of what happened and why. The specific acknowledgement that the silence wasn't mutual, it was yours." "That's hard," she said. "Yes," I said. "It is. But you'd consider." "I'd consider," I said. "Yes." Thomas came to my office in November. Unannounced, which I noted, and which told me he had expected either to be turned away or to catch me off guard. He was shown to my office by a team member who didn't know the history. He stood in my doorway. I looked at him across my desk. "You didn't return my calls 12 years ago," I said. "I know," he said. "Come in," I said. He sat down across from me. Looked around the office at the view, the team visible through the glass, the evidence of what I had built. Something moved across his face. "I should have called you back," he said. "Yes," I said. "You should have." I thought. He stopped. "I thought the idea was too risky. And I didn't want to have the conversation about why I wasn't going to invest. So I just didn't call." "For 12 years," I said. "For 12 years," he said. I looked at my cousin, this man I had grown up with, who had inherited money he hadn't earned and had decided not to share it with someone who had a plan and needed a chance. "Why are you here, Thomas?" I said. "Because I was wrong," he said. "And I'm tired of knowing I was wrong and not saying it." "That's honest," I said. "Are you going to forgive me?" he said. "I don't know yet," I said. "But I appreciate you coming." He nodded. "For what it's worth," he said, "watching what you built, I've thought about that conversation every year since the article came out. Every year before that too, honestly." "Did you follow the company?" I said. "Since year 2, he said. "When you got your first major client." I saw it in a trade publication. I sat with that. He had been watching for a decade. "Why didn't you call then?" I said. "Because I was ashamed," he said. "And ashamed people don't call." "No," I said. "They don't." We sat in my office for an hour. Not resolving 12 years in 60 minutes. That wasn't possible. But talking. Honestly, without the performance of the family dinner, without the celebration narrative that glossed over the decade of silence. Just two people telling the truth about what had happened. It was a beginning. Small and uncertain and real. I went to see my parents in December. Not for a family gathering, just them. The apartment they had always lived in, the one I had grown up in, the one that smelled like my mother's cooking and my father's coffee and the specific combination of things that meant home in the most fundamental sense. I sat at their kitchen table. My mother made tea. My father sat across from me and looked at me with the particular expression he had when he wanted to say something important and was choosing his words. "You don't have to forgive them," he said. "I know," I said. "But I want you to know something," he said. "Your success, what you built, it was never about proving something to them. Wasn't it?" I said honestly. He looked at me. "Maybe at the beginning," he said. "But not by the end." By the end, it was because you had something real and you knew it and you built it because it was real. I thought about that. About the 18-hour days and the secondhand laptop and the business idea I had been refining in my head for 3 years. About whether I had been building towards something or away from something. Both, probably. Most things worth building are both. What do you want me to do? I said. With the family. Whatever you want, my father said. Not what's expected. Not what looks right from the outside. What you actually want. What if what I want is complicated? I said. Life is complicated, he said. That doesn't mean you're wrong. I made 3 decisions in January. The first, I would see Thomas again. Not regularly. Not with the easy warmth of people who had not lost a decade. But occasionally. Because he had come to my office and told the truth, and the truth deserved acknowledgement. The second, I would not see Uncle Richard or Aunt Patricia. Not as punishment. Simply as the honest reflection of what I wanted. Richard had acknowledged what happened in our phone call. Patricia had not called to acknowledge anything, had called to celebrate, which was different. What they wanted was access to my success. What I wanted from them was nothing. The third, and this was the one that had taken the most time to arrive at. I would let my mother be the bridge. My mother moved easily between my world and the family's world, had always moved between them, had maintained her own relationships with her in-laws without those relationships being contingent on my feelings about them. That was her right. And her ability to move between those worlds did not mean I had to. I called Dr. Michelle. I made 3 decisions, I said. Tell me, she said. I told her. She listened. How do you feel about them, she said. Like they're mine, I said. Not imposed. Not reactive. Mine. That's the right feeling, she said. Is it? Decisions made from clarity feel like yours, she said. Decisions made from anger or fear feel like someone else's. These feel like yours. Yes, I said. They do. 2 years after the Forbes article. My company had grown again. Not dramatically. I had learned to be suspicious of dramatic growth, had built things carefully and sustainably, the particular patience of someone who understands that what lasts is built slowly, but solidly. New clients, new team members, the quiet accumulation of something real. I hired my 15th employee in March. Stood in the office after everyone had gone home and looked at the 15 desks and thought about the secondhand laptop and the 2 jobs and the $50,000 nobody had given me. 15 people had jobs because I had built something. That was not nothing. That was, in fact, everything. Thomas and I had lunch every other month. It was imperfect and sometimes awkward and occasionally genuinely good. He had started his own business, smaller than mine, earlier stage, the particular excited uncertainty of someone who has finally decided to build something rather than simply inherit. He asked me for advice once. I gave it freely. Not because the past was erased, it wasn't and never would be, but because the person across the lunch table was not the 22-year-old who hadn't returned my calls. He was someone who had done the work of understanding what he had done and was trying to be different. People who try to be different deserve the chance to succeed at it. How's it going? I asked about the business. Hard, he said. I didn't understand how hard it was. No, I said. You don't until you're in it. How did you keep going, he said. In the early years. When it was really hard. I thought about it honestly. I didn't have a choice, I said. I had already decided this was what I was building. Stopping felt like the wrong answer. Just that, he said. And anger, I said. Honestly. The first few years had a lot of anger in them. I wanted to prove something. To us, he said. To everyone who decided I wasn't worth betting on, I said. He nodded slowly. I'm sorry, he said. Again. The ongoing apology of someone who understands it needs to be said more than once. I know, I said. Keep going with the business. I want to say something to you. If your family only showed up when you were successful, If you can look back at the years when you were struggling and find only silence where support should have been, and then look at the years after and find a suddenly crowded phone, I want you to hear this. You are allowed to notice the pattern. You are allowed to name it. Not with bitterness. Bitterness is heavy, and you have better things to carry. But clearly, with the specific clarity of someone who has been shown twice what they are worth to certain people and has decided to believe the evidence. You are also allowed to let people back in. On your terms. With your eyes open. Not because they deserve it, they may not. But because you have decided, from a place of strength rather than need, that some version of a relationship is something you want. Or you are allowed to keep the door closed. Not as punishment. As the honest reflection of what you actually want. Which is also valid. Which is also yours. The success was never about them. It was never for them. It was always yours, built from your own materials, in your own time, without the $50,000 nobody gave you. They can celebrate it now. That doesn't mean they get access to it. You decide who gets access. You always did. You just had to build something worth protecting first. And you did. Look what you built. If this story moved you, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Has your family only shown up after your success? Share your story in the comments. I read every single one. Tell me where you are watching from. I love knowing how far these stories reach. Until next time, you decide who gets access. Always.